stop touching your ear. Look into my eyes, Henrik. Look into my eyes, you know. You know I can pull this episode off. You know that.
Well, that was mysterious. And misguided.
Kind of, because we can't see each other.
Yep, because this is an audio product. And we don't share a studio space.
But that's kind of the whole point. So,
it has saved both of our lives from mutual dismemberment a couple of times already.
Mutual mutiny. Henrik, we have never been face to face in this podcast. That's kind of funny to think about. Now we have met once in real life during this time.
Twice or do you mean after we started the podcast?
Right.
Yeah. In that case, once. We did try to be face to face and do an episode. Nothing came of that.
Yeah. Nothing came of that. We were short on schedule and we didn't really plan it out. Maybe someday. I really hope we do it someday. But you know how it is with the Finnish trains. You have to be pretty much a millionaire to get anywhere.
Yep.
All right, and apart from my co-host Henrik, I am Karri, and our guest is Tom Frankland Tom, who is the pond expert. Welcome once again, Tom.
Good to see you again. It's been quite a while.
Yeah, you look kind of you look like you have suffered a bit of a precipitation out there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm actually underwater right now.
Wow, can't confirm.
So how's life? How's it been?
Well, we've been just doing our thing, basically, and we had our 1 month break with Henrik from recording podcasts, so that was really, really much required. And I could have done even more, but here we are once again. At least
it has been quite a while. What is it I do here again?
You're the bond expert, giving your expertise.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's the one.
Which means that today's episode is once again a Bond episode. Which means that the podcast will take a break from its usual schedule, its usual program, and instead of typical Flick Lab episode, today's episode is once again this confrontational, this kind of battling mechanic in the podcast in the early days. One of our first listener feedbacks was that please don't stop fighting in the podcast, and kind of that deliberate fighting got the back seat. It got pushed way behind, and we became more and more the two gentlemen that we try to present ourselves as being. But then the other Bond episodes, and I think that the song itself could have used a little bit more oomph, a little bit more. It could have used a little bit more energy, especially when contrasting the Pierce Brosnan film theme songs, which were very much. They were more kind of energetic pop music, especially in the last one.
Analyze this.
Yeah, which was gigantic dumpster fire to analyze that. But altogether, I don't think it's best of the Bond themes, and I also think that when it comes to kind of the lyrics dealing with the themes of the movie or dealing with the character of Bond, it once again it's not a home run, but it's an okay enough attempt.
Tom, your thoughts?
The theme was very, very bland, quite like the film itself, actually.
Bland?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, no. This is going to be a fighting field after all. But when it comes to Bond themes, at least especially in the last 20 years, there is always some room for disappointment. I mean, You Know My Name is not the ultimate, the perfect Bond tune maybe, and definitely not the next one following this either.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alicia Keys and
that theme. I have I have thoughts about that theme. Jesus Christ, what the hell were they thinking? It's not the worst. It's not the worst Daniel Craig Bond film theme song that we have. That credit goes to once again to Spectre, because by love of God, that's a movie that can't get anything right. But
yeah, I
but
think
also the Quantum theme was pretty bad.
Alicia Keys wasn't exactly on keys.
No, and the fucking dynamic between White and Keys really didn't work, like at all. Alicia Keys has always tried to be more of a R&B singer, kind of a R&B pop mixture, and White Stripes has always been White Stripes. So, like, what was everybody thinking when they made that pairing? The lyrics do have some point in them, like they the lyrics themselves, even though they are not a masterpiece, they do work with the themes of the film to a point. But that's basically the only nice thing I have to say about the opening song of Quantum.
Henrik, it's very meta. It's very like it has a lot of different layers, especially that layer where she sings "Another Way to Die," which is kind of the MO of the theme tune, right? It's kind of another way to kill you, if you will.
Kinda, yeah. I was more I was kind of more taken away with the lines of "another pill from the killer turned a thrill into a tragedy," or that line about the dirty money. Like those lines and those parts of the lyrics are some of the best that song has to offer.
I'm thinking on the lines that, as well as Madonna's "Die Another Day," that was very fitting for a torture opening, don't you think?
In a way, yeah. In a way, like I said in the episode, I guess I haven't listened to it myself, so I don't know how it got cut in the end. But the point I was trying to make in my fucking 7-year-long rambling about the theme song was that there's a chance that it works as a meta narrative device for the torture sequence, or then there is a chance that Madonna is just singing about herself.
I had a few thoughts about that, Henrik, when I was editing it. Like, well, should I cut this rambling because it goes on for like 7 or 8 minutes about the meaning of the song? And then I was like, oh, what the hell? I'm too lazy to do anything about it. Let's let him ramble.
Minutes, hours,
years, man, fucking years,
decades.
It's like Brad Pitt made the film 7 years in Tibet. Like, and if there would be like a film made about my life, that would be 7 years of ramble.
And then there is the "Let the Sky Fall," "Cookie Crumble." How was this one?
That's the best one.
Yeah, the best one. Yeah, of course.
That's a good, solid ass fucking theme song for a James Bond film.
It is a very good song. More interesting than this one.
Yeah. When it comes to "You Know My Name," it was done. This song was done on some level, maybe even years before Casino Royale was even conceived of. So I understand David Arnold and Chris Cornell came up with some of the lyrics at the later parts, around when they were about to push out Casino Royale. But anyway, the most of the structure was done way before Casino Royale. So that might have something to do with the lyrics, how you might feel them not really fitting the theme and all.
Then again, something that does work with the theme quite well is the opening visuals, or the visuals playing with the song.
Yeah, and I think it's a very, as said on the commentary track as well, I noticed that these lyrics are they are very sure of themselves and kind of very cocky, because you're introducing a new James Bond and then you go like, oh, well, come on, you know already this guy's name, so name. So it's it's your new James Bond, and you can't have any problem with that because it's James Bond. You know already what this is all about.
Well, it is seeing how Casino Royale is a reboot of the franchise, much needed one after what happened with Brosnan. My name works as a statement for this reboot, and it kind of works as something that lays the groundwork for the franchise continuing onwards from Casino Royale. Like it states that even though we are rebooting the whole Bond and we are changing the Bond quite drastically as we go on, the audience still knows Bond's name and knows who the guy is.
What happened with Pierce Brosnan was some icicle surfing in Iceland. And there was some fantastic DPing in that scene. I would like to correct something regarding that episode, because the audio was cutting a hell of a lot during this episode. Like one of the worst issues that we ever had. This Henrik was on and off. And I didn't catch that you were talking about like this ice surfing scene and the DP, especially in that scene. And then it got a little bit confused and we started... The fight actually, I think it started from that point, that confusion about what we were actually talking about in regards to DP. So, yeah, no doubt, you could have had way better close-ups during that scene to make it a little bit better. So
Overall, I didn't perhaps word this out the best in the Another Day episode, but my kind of a biggest problem with the DP in that film was that I didn't find that extraordinary level of quality that you seemed to find from it. To me, the DP was kind of okay throughout the film. Like, sure, there was a flow from scene to scene. There was flow in the action sequences and stuff like that. But that's also something that I kind of take for granted from major budgeted action movie, and something that I've seen so many times already. Like just see the action flow fluidly from one shot to another while you are having an action scene. That's kind of I take that for granted. If you fail on that, well, I would say that would be more noticeable than you actually succeeding.
Yeah, actually, well, this is kind of a commonly known thing about editing and all, but in case to be a good editor, it takes that you don't really, as an audience, notice the editing, and it's quite of a great part of visual arts that I respect a hell of a lot. I'm not saying that there was like something really groundbreaking in Die Another Day. More what I found in Die Another Day was like individual shots. Hey, that looks cool. There's a lot of space, and you leave a lot of space for movement in this frame, and then it continues quite fluidly to the next. And of course, they had beautiful backdrops and all, like Eden jungles and all that.
Yeah, and to me, those individual shots were kind of for the biggest problem when it came to DP. Like to me, when I noticed the individual shots, it was, for example, it was the green screen moments. It was the ice surfing. It's the bad guy trio pose that they strike on the fucking air carrier at the end of the film, and I'm like, the fuck are you doing? Like, whatever this is, stop, time out, guys, time out.
Yeah, those close-ups on Brosnan during the ice surfing, they are laughing bad. All right, we got more or less to a common page. And, when it comes to DPing, I think these are often a little bit subjective as well. Like, if you're expecting the DP to go in a particular way, for example, to get like a more close-ups when you get more closer to the action or the resolution of the film, you might be looking for that, and whereas I might not be paying that much attention to that and just maybe individual frames. But it's a curious mess, that film. But all right, let's talk about something good like Casino Royale.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah. So, like Barbara Broccoli has said, Well, she was quoting Albert R. Broccoli, the original producer, and he said the following: "Whenever you're stuck, just go back to Fleming." And that's what they attempted here. Of course, of course. If you have ever read the novel Casino Royale, we are way expanding the explosion and the whole sphere of the film. We'll get to all of this.
Kind of. But then again, we are also sticking surprisingly close to Fleming in more ways than one.
Yeah, when you look at the previous entry, most definitely.
Yeah.
We have a certain director here. His name is Martin Campbell. He's doing a return after GoldenEye. So, guy has already launched 2 new James Bonds. 2 very different James Bonds.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Very happy to have Martin Campbell back here. He seems to be good with this stuff. Maybe we get him back to direct the next one after No Time to Die if Daniel Craig is willing to leave his Berettas and PPKs in the holster, and there's gonna introduce some other guy once again.
I guess it comes down to exactly how many millions MGM is willing to pay Craig to reappear on the franchise after... What is the name of the next film? Like No Time to Die.
Too Busy to Die.
Too Busy to Die.
Too busy to die.
Too lazy to push the daisies.
I think he's too preoccupied to perish or something.
Excellent. So the origins of Casino Royale, rated PG-13, are in of course, the novel, which was released in 1953. And then we had a live TV mini-movie in 1954. And the script was done by Charles Bennett. He is famous for some Alfred Hitchcock early films. Barry Nelson played so-called Jimmy Bond. But everybody was kind of aligned on the fact that James Bond doesn't translate too well on television. And secondly, it was kind of a lazy production. And thirdly, you can't really make an American guy play James Bond that well, they found.
They're found, like, shouldn't it be obvious?
Kinda. So, there's so much history. Gregory Radoff got filming rights to Casino Royale back in 1954, and then Gregory found Bond too absurd himself, even though he bought the rights. And they did a Casino Royale script, but Bond is not the main character even. Bond is called Lucky, based on Lucky Luciano character. In 1956, Gregory needs money and sells 50% of Casino Royale rights to Charles K. Feldman, who is one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. And then Radoff meets Gary Cooper. He was offered the role of Bond. Feldman doesn't like the idea because Cooper is too old. Then Ben Hecht looks at script, reads the novel, says where it should be set. Well, it would be World War II and Portugal. And still in the script there is no proper character of James Bond in it. 1960, Radoff dies. Feldman wants all the rights to himself. Pays Radoff's wife $75,000 for rest of the rights. Gets the rights. But then Dr. No comes out, and they don't really want to compete during this time. Of course, the so-called official Eon franchise that we are going to look at this film today, they saw Thunderball remake and Casino Royale as possible competition for their franchise. And in 1967 there was this comedy version of James Bond released, Casino Royale from 1967, which was a film that featured also Ursula Andress, the first James Bond girl in Dr. No. The film lost money. It's kind of unbelievable how you can have a license to do a James Bond film and then you mess it up. But they did manage to do that. So rights to Casino Royale went to MGM in 2000. And this is also, like, there's a long winded history why also Columbia is one of the producers of the film of Casino Royale 2006.
Yeah, anyone who has seen the 1967 version of Casino Royale kind of has a clear picture in their head why that film lost money.
I was looking at these documentaries related to the Casino Royale and from Eon's side. And part of the story that they came up with is that since unfortunately they were working on this Jinx film, Jinx spin-off from Die Another Day, the writers Robert Wade and who's the other guy? Jesus, let's say Jack Wade, CIA. But they were writing the script for Jinx, and the story was supposed to be more human scale, like more down the earth. And they were suggesting that this is the basis that also Casino Royale of their version got a little more grounded interpretation. I think it's more like, well, we had a shitty idea to do a Jinx spin-off, so we're going to salvage what we can and save face and try to argue that this marvelous project that is this Jinx spin-off got the Casino Royale to be as good as it is. So, about the book, Casino Royale was written during Ian Fleming's divorce process. There's a lot of theme of treachery in the film. And Ian Fleming, of course, was working for the Navy during the Second World War as a naval intelligence officer, like a personal assistant to the director of naval intelligence, which is where he got a bunch of his ideas.
Was his wife a treacherous woman?
The story doesn't tell that. Foreign manager of Sunday Times was also one of his roles. And you could say that the books that he wrote are kind of all the biographies in a sense, because it's very much coming from his personal experiences. Of course, the Secret Service never approached him and wanted to keep him as some kind of a secret agent, so it's more of a fantasy what he's writing about. But then again, it comes with a lot of details, and his books are very engaging on points. Henrik, have you read any of the Ian Fleming novels?
I've read the ones that kind of are mandatory reading behind the scenes of the podcast.
Ooh.
I also did read like the Goldfinger halfway through, but never finished.
Yeah. I think I'm done with my things here, so would it be scene by scene?
By all means, yeah.
But Henrik, how do you reckon that, how do you think, how did we end up with Daniel Craig in this film, first of all?
I really don't know. A lot of pointers when it comes to discussion on Daniel Craig's casting, you usually point down to a previous gangster film that Craig had starred in called Layer Cake, in which Daniel Craig plays a London-based drug dealer who finds himself in a kind of a ticking clock situation, and he has to kind of up his now mysteriously appeared competition and also save his financial wealth while being targeted in multiple directions. And that film often is credited as the film that most likely got Daniel Craig into the list of possible Bond candidates.
Yeah, the producers saw Layer Cake, and I believe this was giving them the idea of casting him finally. Although the casting process seemed to be long, it lasted for about 2 years. And they did look into Daniel Craig, and for Barbara Broccoli, apparently Daniel Craig was always the man to take on board, but they went through who knows how many auditions, and then they finally were like, okay, Barbara, you win. Let's go with Daniel Craig. And something like that. And of course, there's also the unfortunate reality that you could also point fingers maybe to MGM's directions. Who knows how it ultimately went down. But what we know is that Pierce Brosnan was not invited for the 5th outing, and kind of the producers and probably the production house also realized that there is not many ways to go forward after Die Another Day, so you have to come up with something different, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, Daniel Craig's casting originally got a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
For many saw that Craig is unfit to play Bond, to play a dark hair. Was he brown-eyed? Ancient in the books, and now well, Daniel Craig is blonde and has blue eyes, and for many that was kind of a breaking the tradition of Bond. and something that immediately kind of a lionized Daniel Craig as a possible Bond candidate.
Yeah, I remember there was it called craignotbond.com? Actually, when I'm checking out now, it actually still the domain exists, but it seems that the is this still something that is anti-Craig? I have to delve deeper into this, but apparently craignotbond.com still exists. So originally, anyway, this was kind of a website that was really against the blonde Bond, and the guy doesn't look anything like the previous Bonds, so that was the argument.
Yeah, and to a point, I can see that there's a kind of a thuggish element to Craig's portrayal of the character.
Yeah, when we have been talking about in this podcast as well that Timothy Dalton could have been like the proto Daniel Craig James Bond, there are still very, very huge differences in how they portray Bond, and I guess in this episode or the next one in Spectre or even the next one after that, No Time to Die, we can talk about like who after all was your favorite James Bond, if you can say anything like that.
Yeah, but that out of the way, I kind of can very well see the situation where the production house found themselves after another day.
Sigmund Freud.
Yeah, like the franchise really needed a reboot at that point. There was no way that the franchise could have salvaged the legacy of the last of the Brosnans.
I need to lay down.
And kind of taking this
Much more.
casting Craig is kind of taking an extreme length when it comes to distancing yourself from Brosnan and from the Brosnan era of James Bond.
Cucumber sandwich.
Afternoon tea.
I get the feeling that I'm talking to a brick wall assholes here.
Sandbag.
Okay, better to carry on. So, to start with the scene by scene, we do not start with the gun barrel, Henrik. What's up with that? Because we're introducing a new James Bond and we're going to make everything different, at least on this part.
Yeah, basically all the rules are out of the window this time. That no gun barrels at the first shot of the film, no martinis, no theme song, no My Name is Bond, James Bond.
There is one vodka martini, I think.
There is,
but he doesn't give a damn whether it's shaken or stirred.
We kind of see the birth of the vodka martini in form of the drink Vesper that Bond comes up in the course of the film. And likewise with the martini, we do finally in the course of the film, we do get all the classical trappings of Bond film, like the theme song and the gun barrel and all that nonsense. But in Casino Royale, you kind of earn those moments as the film goes on. They are not just given to you outright during the timestamps that you would typically actually think that the Bond would give, the film would give them to you.
Dry martini. Wait. 3 measures of Gordon, 1 of vodka, half a measure of quinoa lillet, shake it over ice, and add a thin peel of lemon.
Vesper.
I had it today.
Yeah.
Henrik, Tom.
Never tried it myself because martinis in Finland cost you like a liver. The only way to be a student and get a decent martini in Finland is to make it yourself, and also basically the ingredients in Finland cost like a ton.
But yeah, basically the bartender was just like, hold on, slower. and then I explained it for the 3rd time and he was like shaking. He said, okay, I will go get some piece of paper. And okay, what was it? Okay, 3 measures of Gordon. Okay, and would it be like 40 milliliters or would it be 20 milliliters? Fuck do I know. It's 3 measures of Gordon, goddammit. And then I carried on to the vodka. He gave me the Polish vodka. And then he mixed into it something that was sweet. It wasn't quinoa lillet, or as we know it today, lillet, because he didn't have it and he didn't have any fucking idea what is a lillet. But it's basically some kind of like a flavored wine that you can put into it. And then you shake it over ice and then you put a little slice of lemon into it. and it was only like 25 zlotys, and I quite enjoyed it. It was kind of sweet and sour with kind of this
Bitter aftertaste.
bitter aftertaste. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. Gotta try it more.
I was kind of really impressed by the memory of the waiter in the casino.
Me too. Anyway, in the opening scene, we start with the external shot of a building, and we have a black and white scene. We start with this eerie elevator where this guy is going after parking his car. Even the elevator has a really eerie sound.
This was a very good scene.
It was a really good scene. He gets upstairs. The inspiration for the scene was something of like The Third Man and The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, visually speaking, or maybe even the Ipcress file, which was something that Martin Campbell and one technician that worked on this film had watched and quite liked it. And it was shot on black and white film, so it was not shot on color and then digitally removing the color later on. It was actually black and white film to give it apparently some special quality. And they mentioned that when you work in black and white, it's a lot more work to light everything correctly, and there is more emphasis on the contrasts. As you see here, it's either very black or it's either very bright. So this huge contrast in the face and in the background, for example.
Yeah, the trick with black and white film is that the film itself highlights the white areas of the shot, and kind of also emphasis that the black areas and for example the shadows that you get on any given shot. And this kind of like mentioned, it does make the lighting of those shots kind of a nightmare when you compare them to how you shoot today and how you light your scenes today in the color film era, because you you have to put the light so that you can really get the emphasis and the light work with the white materials in the shot. There's actually a long running history in Hollywood film noir films and the black actors in those films, because the kind of the counter reaction to this or the unfortunate side result of black and white film is that white actors like Daniel Craig, like Humphrey Bogart, the film works phenomenally well with them and really kind of gives this glow of its own to white actors, but or the black actors kind of get swallowed by the shadows in the shots. If you want to study the theme kind of more deeply, I do recommend that you check out, for example, Casablanca, which is a great example of this problem when it comes to black and white film.
And not only this, there was some technique used here, akin to old films. Of course, listeners might know that the technique of Techniscope, developed by Technicolor. And it was some kind of a widescreen process which used half the film negative. You have a 2.40:1 expanded and squeezed down to make standard 35mm CinemaScope print, and then you have more depth of field than standard CinemaScope, and you get kind of a dirty compositions without it being too squatchy apparently. So it gives some kind of a more definition to it, more graininess.
You kind of can see this already in the opening when you compare the footage.
You can. How did he die, Henrik?
Well,
Not well.
he died considerably.
You needn't worry. The second is... Yes, considerably. And we get to the gun barrel that is made kind of short and sweet, but fits the moment. And in this film, it really works that they are using the gun barrel at this moment.
And it's kind of nice to finally see the guy to whom the gun barrel belongs to, and to see it actually have some goddamn point, because in basically the openings of the previous Bond films, the scenario has been that Bond is just walking down the street going to get his pint of milk or some shit like that, and then there's just just is some dude who is taking an aim at Bond for
Yeah.
no apparent reason.
It's like a dude is just strolling on the street and then
Yeah, and gun barrel just appears because that's what happens in London, the crime capital of EU, or not EU anymore.
right. Tom Frankland, Mr. Frankland, how was your last day in the EU? How do you feel?
My last day in the EU, which was last week, I think. I guess it was okay.
Okay. No celebratory drinks, no visiting the morgue or...
I had a Vesper.
You had a Vesper?
Yeah.
That's good.
Awkward.
We have been struggling not to bring up Brexit in the recordings of the episode.
Yeah, sorry. I was just wondering, what does that have to do with this film?
Well, what does Boris Johnson and the clouds above him have to do with this podcast?
Nothing. I have no answer to that question.
I have no idea what you are talking about.
No.
Moonraker episode. Anyway, so yeah, we have the gun barrel and we're getting to these title sequences that are done by Daniel Kleinman is providing the opening title sequence. Henrik, your thoughts?
They do tie in pretty nicely with the film. I kind of like them. They are not the best. Once again, I would say the best ones maybe go to Skyfall.
Wow.
They are okay. I do like the fact that the casino motif is being played out throughout the title sequence. This is something that I've come to enjoy with my Bond titles ever since the Golden Eye, where I think they really first nailed it and nailed you using the title sequences as something that sets up the tone for the rest of.
I really enjoyed this, and I think it just might be the best title sequence that is out there, at least of the modern era for sure, because it fits the theme as you said, and I think it has this 2D-dimensional quality to it as they had in the old days, and I really enjoyed that, and I think we have completely lost it in the latest films like Spectre and Skyfall. So yeah, and especially that it's very animated. It has like strong borders, very very strong colors, and exposes some actual film material when there's like a scope going to the target, and then it reveals Eva Green or yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. I myself, I'm more, once again, in favor of daggers falling from sky, turning into gravestones, kind of things. But I do admit that the title sequence is pretty good. It's pretty strong opening for the film, and yeah. I can guess that when you're kind of a encompassing motif or the direction that you can be given regards the title sequences, that it basically comes down to, well, we are setting the film to happen in casino. You kind of are against the wall, like what the hell you are going to do with directions like that, like how you are going to make casino interesting. And for credit where credit is due, the film and the title sequence actually does find a way.
I read the novel Casino Royale before I went to see this film in theaters. I have to say I was a little bit disappointed.
Wow.
Because it really didn't get to, obviously it didn't get to, but it really didn't get to the nitty-gritty James Bond films of the yesteryears. For example, something like From Russia with Love. That's how the book is, that's how the film is, that's what I wanted to have in Casino Royale.
The fuck do you mean that's how the book and the film is? Like what is the golden kind of direction of your nitty here?
When I'm talking about film, I'm talking about From Russia with Love.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to make the case that Casino Royale is not gritty.
I'm saying that it's gritty, but it's the right word choice would probably be more down to earth, because it's not really enough down to earth to be exactly where I want it to be. But it's trying really hard, considering that it's having the audience that it has, and it has to be in certain limitations and stuff. But for example, in the book, you don't have these scenes where the car is doing, well, it's doing some rolling, but it's not doing this unbelievable jumps and rolls in the air, and it doesn't have any of this scene of on this airfield where Bond is fighting and explosions go off. That is just some modern bullshit, you know. You have to launch a action scene here, so here's something for you.
Yeah. Then again, I do think that at times the novel also kind of fumbles when it comes to presentation. For example, the whole assassination attempt on Bond, which in film plays out as a poison drink, and Bond needs to use his gizmos to contact his superiors.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And in the book, it's basically Bond is sitting on a chair and dude sneaks behind him. And Bond masters the situation by backflipping on that chair. And but you know the excitement to give credit to the excitement for that scene in the book. The dude's gun had a silencer, so that's nice. That's cool. Silencers on guns are cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be that silent that you can't hear or notice anything when I shoot you with this. And then I was wondering for the rest of the book, like, how did it work? Maybe it was mentioned, but I didn't see it. Like, how did it work that now the baddies are not able to get to Bond because Vesper is in between James Bond and the baddies? Whatever. But that is definitely good that they changed that. I forgot to mention the deleted scene of Cricket Pavilion, so we had some more extended material on the first kill of James Bond. So he finds him in a cricket game, and this is kind of a flashback, and this is where Bond finds the first target, and then he gets this guy into the toilet and kills him there. Okay, we get to Ugandan camp. This is actually filmed in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, they couldn't find enough blacks in Czech Republic, surprise, surprise, so they shot it in England. And this was shot in Black Park. Have you been in Black Park?
No.
Frankland, no?
Where's that?
Buckinghamshire.
No.
Looks like a fun place, must tell you.
Quite convincing. The pipelines scene of The World Is Not Enough was shot in the same park. Also the gypsy camp in From Russia with Love, and the Russian helicopter in Die Another Day. I understand in the beginning of the film.
It's almost like the production house has an access only to one park in entire England.
Yes. There's only one park in England which can transform into Uganda, Henrik. And then there is talk about the Skyfleet stock. So what happens here? Now, Le Chiffre is now offering his services to a Ugandan kind of a team that is fighting against the government, supposedly. Then he decides that he will sell his Skyfleet stocks so that they can later try to explode the Skyfleet airplane. Something like that.
Yeah, essentially what Le Chiffre is doing, he's betting against the market. Like, he's making a high chips gambling move here. He's essentially what he's doing. He's placing a bet that the stocks will drop.
But how is it related to working with these Ugandan camp dudes? I just can't put it together.
He's taking the warlords, the Ugandan warlords' money, and he's placing that money as a bet against the stock market. Like,
But he lost it.
He loses it when the stock doesn't drop. When Bond manages to foil the attempt to explode the airplane.
So he has bought some Skyfleet stock for.
He hasn't hasn't bought them. Like, he doesn't. I guess he doesn't own Skyfleet stocks himself. He's just, putting the money as a bet, and making a statement that the stock market or the Skyfleet stocks will drop. It does happen occasionally in stock markets. Like, that is a move you can do when it comes to stock. You can make that kind of a bet, but you don't run into that quite so often, because that's not what you typically do when you are gambling the stock market.
Okay, anyway, we get to Madagascar, Mad at NASCAR. This was not filmed in Madagascar because they realized that it was incredibly hard to film in Madagascar. Madagascar get all the rights and etc. So
Black Park.
Black Park, no. But Madagascar was filmed in the Bahamas. They decided to move a lot of the production into the Bahamas because they found a lot of suitable places there. For example, the construction site here. And,
Can I just say this parkour guy was very, very impressive.
Yep.
Yeah, he was very, very good. He had 6 skills.
And this is the time when parkour started to gain ground or actually be known in any way as a phenomena. So it was something that I think James Bond film Casino Royale very much introduced to the world.
Yep. He is very good.
And the parkour really does work with the character of Bond here because it shows kind of a differences between Bond and the world he's facing. The scene, the opening action scene in Madagascar kind of manages to use the action as a way to tell you something about Bond as a character.
Most definitely, especially when he's going through the wall. So he's kind of reckless.
He's that, and he's kind of he's not that suave in his movements. Well, like Am says it later on in the film, he's in Casino, he's more of a blunt object.
This might be hard for a blunt instrument to understand.
Yeah, blunt instrument, that's the term.
There's a lot of differences that we already see if you want to compare something to Timothy Dalton here. You know, this guy is way more reckless than Timothy Dalton ever was. He's not this type of a typical gentleman person, and he's very cocky and proud, I would say.
Exceedingly proud. Like pride is something that really is one of Bond's handicaps in especially in Casino Royale. Like Bond kind of repeatedly fucks up the situation because his ego can't take the hit of him somehow losing the situation or losing to another person.
Which is kind of the story of the film. It's all about balls. It's balls, 007 and balls.
I like balls.
James Balls. The bad guy, the parkour guy, was supposed to be first called Two Fingers, or at least he was supposed to have 2 fingers. But they gave that up because the guy has to kind of run and jump, so you need kind of additional fingers or normal amount of fingers. So they just decided against it and they gave him scars to make him kind of a James Bond character in a way. No gadgets here, it's just James Bond and him using his body.
He wouldn't be a James Bond villain without some kind of physical deformity.
Right?
Yep, he wouldn't. And he kind of also wouldn't be a long-running bomb maker without at least one accident behind him.
And at least as far as the commentary track points out, and I should know it also myself because I've been watching this movie since I was 5 years old, but like off the top of my head, this is kind of hard to recall, but they made the case that this is the only foot chase in the entire James Bond franchise, and it's probably true.
Most likely, yeah. I at least on top of my head on the moment, I can't name another on-foot Bond.
Not very long one, at least, yeah.
No.
So this construction site, it was the Ministry of Defense site right next to where Thunderball scenes were shot. And there was this expanded part of the Thunderball Hotel, which was never completed, and it lay abandoned for over 40 years, and this is where they shot it. So Bahamas is not a stranger for Bond. Bond has gone to Bahamas in Thunderball. You only live twice, The Spy Who Loved Me, 4 years, Only to All This on Elf, and now Casino Royale. And finally, everything is real. We don't have any surfing scenes amongst the icicles here. No CGI. This is pretty much everything is real. Maybe some backgrounds have been changed here and there, but it's not key to this change. This action. There is, of course, the cable that is slowing down the end of the jump so that they don't mess up their legs when they are touching the ground in those huge jump scenes. Mm. Great energy in this scene. This is a very exciting scene. It never lets you go. It's exciting from beginning to end.
No, I disagree.
Yeah, fuck you do, man.
So the problem with this film is that the action scene was very well filmed and well acted. Just go on for far too long, in my opinion. I started to clock watch.
Oh, wow.
You must be the only person in the entire world clock watches during the action scenes of this film.
Nope.
Well, there's only this scene when they go to see the huge aircraft, which is going for too long, in my opinion. And I didn't really care for the entire sequence that much. But I accept it, that it's there. It's something that happened.
You both can just leave the podcast at this point.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of my podcast.
But then we get to continue this scene in embassy, and it gets even more wild. Okay, so the bullets are flying. Daniel insisted to being amongst the 300 to 400 flying bullets, so he's trying to give his all. I get the impression from all the interviews, of course they are marketing related, but I get the impression that Daniel Craig really wanted to do as much of the action as possible, and that's kind of, it's hard to argue against because he is in many of those close-up, also in some high-altitude scenes, so great to watch the guy taking a lot of risks, also broke his leg during No Time to Die, so he's still doing that.
Yeah, Casino Royale is almost like a time period when Daniel Craig still wanted to make a Bond film.
Yeah, the first ones are always special for all of these actors. Yeah. That this feels very fresh. There is something about the interpretation, the way that they portray the character when they're doing their first one. I feel that as well.
He looks very young in this film.
He does. Yeah.
He does.
Tasty.
Precipitation.
I also like the added touch that when Bond finally fucks up at the embassy, at the end of the chase scene, there actually is repercussions this time. Like this is one of the Bond films where Bond's antics really do cause an in-movie-verse political crisis.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything, Henrik. He just gets some shit from M and then he is off to continue his mission.
Well, at least M makes the notion that during the better days, the 00s were smart enough to defect at this point.
You are right, Henrik, but I can't believe it took this long for Bond to be reprimanded for his actions.
Yeah, here we are. But hey, Le Chiffre's boat is waiting, so it starts with Lady... What?
Nothing.
So, Lady is coming out of water, and what David Arnold is playing during this scene is very much reminding me of Die Another Day music. It has the same sound, most definitely. But we are introduced to Le Chiffre, and there's nothing sinister going on, but his eye is bleeding.
Dude is perfectly normal here.
Some stuff with the canal of the
Tear
tear duct, and I felt that this is not in the novel. This is something that you just have to add because it's written by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, so you have to have these caricature characters in. Even if you're making a more grounded James Bond adventure, you're just gonna do it.
Like Tom mentioned, he wouldn't be a Bond villain if he wouldn't have some kind of a physical deformity or defect.
I really don't care for that. I really care for great performances and some kind of a great character quality. It doesn't have to be something physical to me.
But there's always some kind of quirk, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah, but how did you feel when you first saw this quirk? Like you were like, oh my god, this is stupid.
No, it's actually very good. I thought very original.
Yeah, I felt that it was forced.
No, it's not forced, Karri.
It is.
You know what the fuck you're talking about?
I do. I made this podcast.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Put you in your place.
Okay. You can put me back in my box.
Yeah. See you in 1 month.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's how we do this podcast.
Oh, so okay. Anyone who disagrees has to return next month. Has to leave.
We had some listener feedback about GoldenEye episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had some listener feedback about GoldenEye episode, and it was really weird. We wish I could find this for this occasion. Maybe I can. Just give me a second. It was so funny.
I'm dreading it already.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a listener feedback on this podcast. It can't be anything positive.
Here.
Okay.
So Mr. Stath says that I like the length of this one. It's very rare to have episodes this long and this in depth. But I have to say the lead host just sounds ... openly contemptuous of both the guest from The Suits of James Bond and the film at points. It's one thing to not think much of a film. What? But at points, it basically just feels he's almost yelling the film is a shit show and expecting agreement from all. Did I do that?
Yeah, well, that's basically your go-to motive.
But I recommended it and I was saying that it's a great film. Where is this coming from?
Like, you know, as a first thing to kind of improve the quality of this podcast, I think we all should agree that Karri is the Antichrist. Like, literally the Antichrist.
Sorry, Karri, can you clarify? Did the guy say that you was contemptuous of the suit guy?
The guest. Yeah, that I was contemptuous towards the guest from The Suits of James Bond.
Oh, I thought you meant me. Okay.
I was the guy who was shaking in the corner here and like, oh, I hope I get everything right because I don't know, like this guy is like knows a hell of a lot about suits and I don't. So I was just trying to get through this whole interview and I was respecting him very much throughout the entire podcast.
Well, not according to that dude.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, you know. When you get famous, you just have to ignore all the feedback.
Yeah, all the fame we have.
Otherwise, you go crazy.
Please don't review us, people. Do not leave a review unless it's good.
Lashich says that there's a 17.4% chance of his opponent winning this match at the boat.
16.
16?
I think so, yeah.
I think he's at 17.4. I was wondering, what does he have a calculator in his head?
No,
Yeah.
M says he's a chess genius and a math genius.
Yeah.
Okay, but okay, fine. I guess that's fair enough.
So
he
that's basically the kind of a motive behind the whole banking and the stock market, and even Leshir's grand plan of winning the money back in the poker tournament.
In the book, he has a Benzedrine inhaler, but I think what he has here is not sniffing into his nose. It's just some kind of a metered dose inhaler, MDI, asthma inhaler. But I might be wrong with that.
No, you're right. Because I use the same inhaler.
Oh.
Not the very same inhaler, like I don't use Leshiv's inhaler, but I do have an inhaler.
Okay, so he's
Asthma.
Just not snorting cocaine.
No.
Yeah, got it.
I've heard the rumor, which I haven't been able to confirm. Do the inhalers actually count as doping?
No.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, it simply opens up the passage of the throat so you can breathe easier.
Yeah, and I've heard that that's kind of would be qualified as an illegal trick in professional sports because that
okay.
could help you to get more air intake in your lungs.
Oh, I have no idea.
Lashif sees the article based on the Madagascar embassy explosion and gets the first information about James Bond. Then we got to M's quarters, where she is very furious, like, Christ, I missed the Cold War scene. Filmed in Strahov Monastery in Czech Republic. Looks very English.
Yeah.
We get to M's house. Bond has hacked into M's computer, and I believe he's tracking down the sending location of the SMS.
I guess so. I've never actually been able to confirm what Bond is looking at M's computer. Like this thing goes so fast. Bond closes the lid so fast that I've never gotten the clear picture what the hell they're doing.
Pornography.
Most likely.
Yeah, I figured that would be the only logical solution because then he goes on his little trip to Bahamas. And the only reason for that would be that he would know actually where the SMS was first sent, and then he can go in to check some security camera footage and pinpoint it even further.
Yeah, that kind of does make a lot of sense.
But it's very ambiguous, you can't say. So apparently M has a private elevator, and this is the angriest M that we have ever seen her. That is natural. Somebody has broken into her house. We wanted to question him, not to kill him! So, yeah.
Did we ever find out how James Bond broke into M's house and how he gets all these details?
No, that's a spycraft secret.
Yeah.
Never explained exactly how Bond can get into a house.
Just like M's first name is the secret that won't be exposed in this film. But in Skyfall, I think the name is shown.
I'm not 100% certain. But anyways, altogether, the M's house or M's apartment scene, it is kind of a weird animal. Altogether, like there's a lot of elements which I don't quite understand. How did they work and why were they in film? Like this is most intrusive Bond that we have had in the franchise. Breaking into your boss's apartment or house it's one of those golden lines that Bond has never broken before. And it's kind of a weird that Bond here in the Craig run is willing to go that far in this pissing contest with Am. And also on top of that, the fact that the logistics, how Bond managed to break into Am's house, and what information Bond is digging from Am's computer, none of that is ever shown to you, which kind of makes this scene. I don't know. It's teetering on going too far.
It's the first time that we see M's apartment, and it more contributes to this character's recklessness.
It does, but at the same time, I also do kind of feel that this is, even with the recklessness, this may be taking the recklessness too far. But this is the danger Bond puts himself into in this scenario. It's kind of off the charts because Bond has just fucked up the previous mission. He's already in bad terms with his boss, and now he's breaking into her personal space, into her house.
I'm not sure if I'm completely impressed by the acting of Judi Dench in this scene or how she was instructed here, because it goes into three ends. So first there is this, we wanted to question him, not kill him. So extremely furious. Then she sits down, says in a very calm voice, Bond, this might be too much for a blunt instrument to understand. And then when he leaves with the elevator, she's like, don't ever break into my house again. And what you see as the last frames of that shot, it looks like Judi Dench is smiling, like saying it a bit of an irony. Like, in my opinion, it's okay what you did.
I secretly want you to break into my apartment.
Right. So, I'm not sure if M should behave this way. Maybe she should have been angry all the way.
Yeah, kind of a feeling-wise, it does kind of make logic. Like there's from furious to condescending to kind of accepting. That's kind of the emotional path that M takes in the scene. I don't know. I do feel that maybe she should have been more strict when she states that never break into my house again.
Maybe she could have been very strong against James Bond for most of the scene, and then at the last shot she could have shown a little bit of a smile, like I still trust you and all.
Maybe yeah. Then again, apparently she does still trust Bond great deal, because right after Bond has made an kind of an international political cook-up and made a mess of things, and already has gotten himself in bad terms with MI6, then Bond can just mysteriously go into some place without telling his supervisors where he's going, and I guess he's not on a mission, and that's okay to Am. So it kind of switches from Am being extremely angry with Bond and kind of a Bond needing to take things a bit more careful in order not to get kicked off the MI6 and find himself all of a sudden to be jobless, into Bond once again being Bond, and I'm guessing going off the grid once a fucking again. Almost going rogue once again. Because MI6 has not actually given a go for Bond's next step that Bond takes in the film.
But that's kind of also the reason why James Bond is able to be so good, because he's not listening to his supervisor all the time. Takes his rogue missions, and then at the end of the day, he's just going to be pat on the back, like, good job for not following my orders.
Yeah, good job for not doing what you were told.
So we get to the Ocean Club. Bond is starting to dress more smart. There's a custom-made shirt in use. Security cameras. He compares the timestamps of the SMS to the security camera footage. And of course the SMS, I guess the signal from the GPS was so accurate that you can see and pinpoint that this person must have been in front of the security camera at this moment, so it's worth looking into in Ocean Club. But never mind that, because we have a beautiful blonde to finish off the scene, and boy, is she beautiful. This is the person who is that James Bond is discussing where he might be able to find this person that he's looking for. What? No comments on the most beautiful lady of the film?
Nah, she's in customer service profession.
Vesper is
But if I would be compelled for you guys to like this person, well,
no,
darn. But hey, we are getting to the beach. This is southwest end of Nassau, New Providence, where we are introduced to Solange. And name is inspired by Solange de Prairie, a lady in the Bahamas who visited Xanadu in 1962, which would require another podcast to discuss about, but just so you know, some worthless trivia. And Bond is rising from the ocean, a la Ursula Andress, in short swimming trunks. As short swimming trunks as possible, actually. Made by La Perla.
Which is kind of a clever twist on the scene.
Yeah, it's nice that we're getting this, and we got actually a title sequence that doesn't have a lot of, if any, naked ladies. So we're starting to do something else a bit. Kind of mixing these gender roles up, or maybe.
A bit. Not that much in the end, though, but there is some advance that is actually happening. Also, when it comes to Bond ladies, there is some evolution in the characters that they are playing.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the kind of a groundbreaking phenomena that everybody made it out to be when the film came out. Because I would argue that, for example, GoldenEye had a pretty strong bad Bond girl in Famke Janssen.
We know that you want to bring Famke Janssen to each Bond episode post GoldenEye.
I'm kind of a dead set on finding a way for the rest of the Bond run.
Yeah, but she has to change her behavior, you know. She can't go strangling people all the time.
Right, it's hard to work with that kind of a lady at the casino.
Well, it just depends on whether or not do you always enjoy a good squeeze.
I can imagine that they could have had very hot love scenes with Famke Janssen and Daniel Craig.
Yeah, that would have been kind of like two aggressive people going at each other.
Now we wake M in bed, and there's a mysterious partner in M's bed. We never really know who that person is. And what I figured out was just that it's only her husband. But later in, was it Skyfall, she tells that her husband died quite some time ago. Maybe it was kind of a one-night thing from Tinder, you know.
Yeah, that's just disgusting.
What? M or Tinder?
M on Tinder.
Admit it, you're thinking about what kind of profile pictures she's having. We get to Casino Hotel, and Solange is in pomegranate color dress, which is supposed to give a nice contrast against the green palm tree, greenery, Bahamas backdrop. And of course it was a very beautiful dress that Lindy Hemming chose for her. I think it's one of the best ones in the franchise. We meet Dimitrios at the gambling table. But not only Dimitrios. At the gambling table you have the wife of the man who owned the Bahamas Islands, Diane. And this is the same lady who is in Thunderball in Nassau, where she's dancing for a moment with Sean Connery's James Bond. this is the lady that says that you are all mad. And then Fiona Volpe comes and gets rid of this lady and dances with James Bond.
Okay, I never picked up on that.
Apparently, the only reason that she got the role in Thunderball was, of course, that she was the rich wife of the owner of the islands. But yeah, Dimitrios loses the car in the game. Oh, and the parking ticket as well. There's a fantastic scene that follows this when Daniel Craig is in front of the hotel, I believe, and he's trying to convince Solange to join him. There was a great character analysis about this scene, and it's so true. It's so true that this is one of the best scenes of the entire film or the franchise, because it's showing James Bond, Daniel Craig, very sure of himself. Yeah, he never shows that he would get disappointed about the answers that the lady is giving. He just completely ignores what the lady is first doing, ignoring his offers. He just keeps on pushing and pushing with that very affirmed face, and then he finally gets what he wants. So that shows you the strength of the character. It's a scene where he says, "Could I give you a lift home?" No, that would really set him over the edge. "I'm afraid I'm not that cruel. Maybe you're just out of practice." And then she laughs. "And how far is your home?" "Very, very close. One drink." And he just keeps on staring at Solange with those eyes, without breaking a sweat. I enjoy it very much. This is some great dating advice for you guys.
I most definitely doubt that one. I can believe that into today's world that would be a really great restriction order advice for us.
So maybe just better to go with the "must have hit the fuel line" from License to Kill. Solange in a hotel room with James Bond. There's this line, what was it related to? Bond goes like, "Because then they'd be bad." I'm sorry, but I instantly saw connections in my head to Die Another Day end lines, especially when you're bad.
Bad. Bad.
Oh yeah, let's get this dialogue. "You like married women, don't you, James? It keeps things simple. What is it about bad men? You, my husband. I had so many chances to be happy. So many nice guys. Why can't nice guys be more like you? Well, because then they'd be bad." And roll credits.
Bad.
Bond orders chilled Bollinger, Grand Anne, and the beluga caviar. Lady decides that this is not up to my standards and leaves. So we get to Miami.
Does she actually leave, or does she go to the bedroom?
Well,
Because there are actually two takes you can take from that scene. The first one is that the lady is leaving Bond's place, and Bond orders the caviar for himself. Or the second take that you can read is that the lady is actually heading for Bond's bedroom, expecting to have some nice sexy sex, and Bond just orders some caviar for her and just leaves her there.
I took it that she leaves the place and then Bond takes this food for himself and then leaves for Miami.
Because I have exactly the opposite reading of the scene.
This is a bit confusing, yeah. Multifaceted in interpretation. In the Body Worlds Museum in Miami, you see these bodies in the gambling table, and these are actually real bodies on display. Yeah.
Oh, I know, it's fucking cool.
So creepy. But there's a little bit of a knife fight with Dimitrios. Dimitrios gets put out of the commission. Therefore, we get to airport. Now he has the phone of Dimitrios, so he's able to further track the next bad guy. The airport stuff is shot in Czech Republic, England, and Florida, kind of all over the place. In the commentary track, the Alexander Witt, the second unit director, second unit DP, talks about shooting in Czechoslovakia, like multiple times. That was really annoying. It was 6 to 8 weeks of shoot at the airport. There's a nice front somersault with a twist when James Bond gets into the tanker at the airport. He has followed this guy and now he's at the tanker and trying to get rid of this guy and his bombing plot. Police car flying 140 feet in the air. a little bit of CGI applied for 747 in some moments to make scenes match up because it was shot all over the place. And then finally the car is stopped with cables next to the plane. Unbeknownst to the bad guy, the bomb is now attached to him, so that makes for a cool off-screen explosion.
It does, and I unlike some of us here in the studio, did actually enjoy quite a lot about the airport fight.
Yeah, I thought it was this traditional James Bond bullshit moment, and I think they could have just left it out, try to think of something a little bit more grounded than jumping over tankers, but it's the thing that you just have to do.
Once they are actually fighting inside the tanker, I felt that there was nice brutality to the actual fight.
Yeah, well, the airport scene again would be very, very good if it didn't go on for so damn long.
Yeah, there's that, and I think it's unnecessary to have action at this moment. It's something for the kids. I felt you just have to do it.
Henrik, is this something for the kids?
I would say no. I can see where Karri is coming from with his argument. I mean, there is most definitely there is a modern audience's motive, and this kind of a rhythm thing that like today in spy action adventures you must have fight scene to happen occasionally. But
yeah,
I didn't get the feeling that the scene was here just because of that. Like, it does also serve a narrative function. This is the low point for Le Chiffre, where after which he has to take the Casino Royale route. And I did kind of feel that it did fit the film. Like, I did get the feeling that the film actually benefited from having an action scene now.
I think it's the low point of the film, in fact. Just imagine reading the novel and then seeing this, and then you're in the theater like, okay, what the fuck are you doing at this moment?
Then again, at times with the novel, you were, oh, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, okay. And of course, so many of these novels have been changed into something completely else on screen. I get that. And Casino Royale is one of the least offenders.
Yeah, it still stays. It's one of the films that stays most true to Fleming's source material, even with all the changes that it does. It still still changes relatively little in the end,
which is kind of shocking when you're coming from Die Another Day and icicle surfings, and now you have something that is, I mean, it's 2006, so you gotta have action, a few explosions. But considering that, it was quite stripped down.
It was kind of unbelievably so. You did voice your displeasure with the airport scene. Tom made it clear that he felt that it kind of dragged on too long. But even with those notions, even with the notions that our airport scene was either too long or unnecessary, that the film in total is kind of it's surprisingly kind of a strict in the usage of action. There is surprisingly little of it in the film.
Yeah. Actually, I said wrong. There is even a worse sequence coming after this airport scene. Let's talk about it later. Le Chiffre is now counting his losses. And someone has talked, he notes. Time for briefing in Albany House, southwest end of Nassau, once again in New Providence. Bond has pretty amazing makeup on his face with those cuts. I think they're really iconic.
Yeah.
I think it's, I love those cuts for some reason. He has made quite a body count, notes, and there's a nice shot at Craig in the scene as the last shot. There's a lot of beautiful shots, beautiful location, beautiful shots. That's how it usually goes. But it's a great scene, and there is unfortunately this implant with which they can track James Bond, which is not bad yet. Just wait until you get to Spectre and Smart Blood edition of this.
Yeah, the implant still is kind of a relatively small offender, like you said. It's still it's quite believable, and it makes quite a lot of sense, especially if you contrast that against Spectre and all the science nonsense that they throw you in your face in that film.
What the hell is digital blood? Digital blood cells. I get it.
I guess it's blood cells that have been photoshopped.
Truly terrifying 1984 technology. Train with Vesper, one of the best scenes of the film. In book, it notes how Vesper has brilliant protuberances, both front and back. But then Bond also notes when he hears about his new aide in this mission, that she would be a lady. He thinks to himself, bitch. And then once again, bitch. This type of language is kind of cut out in this film. I think it benefits the film, so good job there.
Altogether, the whole chemistry between Bond and Vesper, it's quite heavily changed in the film when you contrast it to the book.
Yeah, I really love this analysis of James Bond. It's about seeing through Bond. As I've understood, this is mostly written by Paul Haggis, the guy who came to do some rewrites for Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. So this is kind of breaking down the character of James Bond. Haggis was thinking, what would James Bond really want to experience with a lady? What would really make him love this Evergreen's character, Vesper Lynd? And Haggis decided that she has to get under his skin a bit, in a way that he kind of breaks down his character, understands what he is, and makes him kind of uncomfortable, perhaps.
And it does make quite a lot of sense, character-wise. Like Bond as a character is very strong. He's very dominant in all the situations. So it kind of it makes a logical sense that in another person, Bond could appreciate and value to be able to find that same strong willingness and kind of a nature to not give in to him.
Yeah, very interesting also what editor Stuart Baird said about this scene or dialogue scenes in general, is that he noted that it might be even harder to cut scenes with dialogue as opposed to maybe the airport action sequence, because there is a certain rhythm that you just have to get right here. And I think he succeeded fantastically also when you look at the casino sequences later on. He's doing a lot of things, of course the DP and the camera crew as well, but they're doing a lot of tricks here to keep the casino scenes, the game, interesting and succeed as well.
Yeah, and that's not really an easy trick to pull off, especially in action adventure spy film, to keep scenes which more or less are just a bunch of assholes sitting around the table playing cards somehow interesting.
Right? And me not understanding Baccarat or even Texas Hold'em for that matter, it's really hard to kind of keep your interest sometimes in the book. Texas Hold'em is an easier game, and also because during that time, and poker was quite popular at the time, I heard, so that might have also contributed why they chose Texas Hold'em.
Definitely, yeah. And more specifically, Texas Hold'em had become extremely popular at the time. Like the film came out, if I remember correctly, at the same time when, for example, gangster movies and UK gangster movies and pretty low-life gangster movies were once again rising up and becoming more popular. And, well, Hold'em was something that you could see there. Poker was something that you could see in those films. But on top of that, also the televised World Championship poker tournaments had started to become all the craze. And basically, Texas Hold'em was also the game that they were playing on those tournaments. So in that sense, the change in the game kind of, I would say, was dictated by the times.
But apparently we're very much in love, Henrik.
With each other or with Texas Hold'em?
No, this is just my ham-fisted bridge to the next scene, so we get the car ride to casino, where we have more of this excellent dialogue. We could, of course, break down some of the dialogue, if we have any of those noted down, but I really enjoy these gambles that Eva Green and Daniel Craig take here. It's like two very articulated and smart people seeing who is going to win this verbal battle. Actually, even way too smart when you look at the train sequence and them not even skipping a beat delivering fantastic lines to each other. But it's beautiful to watch. And it's a little bit too... It sounds like a kind of a written language at points, but still highly enjoyable.
It's almost like this podcast, if you would... except in here it's two smart people instead of two doofuses.
Exactly. Fortunately. For your listening pleasure. We meet Mathis. We also meet Michael Wilson, Henrik. There's a cameo of Michael Wilson, who is one of these baddies of Le Chiffre, who gets locked up by police quite immediately.
And who you mostly don't even notice in the film. And if you do, you most likely are wondering who the hell is that.
Yeah, I noticed this cameo in the theater. I've been watching these films for too long.
Okay, went completely past my radar when I originally saw the film.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious seeing this guy popping up everywhere. During the franchise, funnily in the book, there is this Dr. No moment when James Bond puts the piece of his hair, he puts the piece of hair in front of the closet kind of to put it there in case somebody breaks in, then he could see if somebody has been moving stuff around his room. And that's part of the Casino Royale novel. Doesn't happen here, but that's the Dr. No thing.
Yeah, also doesn't happen in the franchise altogether except in Dr. No.
Yeah. I really love this line when they enter the casino and Eva Green says that, "Get the next one. There is not enough room for you and your ego." Here it's, I suppose, Quantum, which later...
It is, yeah, it's... In Casino Royale, it's unknown criminal syndicate or something like that. And the unknown forms into Quantum in the next film.
Which gets discarded and is kind of some kind of a sub name for Spectre later, because they acquired the rights to use the word Spectre or the name Spectre, the criminal organization from the earlier James Bond films.
Yeah, or then not. Like it's hard to say what the fuck happens to Quantum. And what Quantum actually is supposed to be. And
so the Spectre's idea is kind of to glue everything together from the previous adventures.
Except Quantum of Solace. And that decision, like the decision in Spectre to glue everything together and then try to make the audience forget Quantum of Solace ever happening is actually one of the key things why it gets so goddamn hard. Try to understand and piece together what is Quantum as a group and what happened to Quantum as a group and what is the unknown syndicate in Casino Royale.
It gets a bit confusing, but this is my understanding, that they wanted to change it to Spectre because they had the opportunity.
Yeah, most likely. Like, I'm willing, but once again, I have to stress this out already in kind of a to give a hint of what might happen when we finally tackle Spectre in the podcast. The decision of the film Spectre to try to pretend that Quantum of Solace never happened is something that kind of ends up ruining the whole Daniel Craig or the continuity in Daniel Craig Bond films.
How do you reckon that it's ignoring it? Because you still have, what is this bad guy's name in Quantum of Solace? Anyway, his face is shown there on, I believe, computer screens and also in the shooting range at the end of the film.
But most of the time, basically, whenever the Spectre is making callbacks to earlier Bond films, it's making, or Daniel Craig Bond films, it's making It's making those callbacks to Casino Royale and to Skyfall.
Yeah.
And mostly in almost all of the callbacks, there are a couple of instances where this does not happen. But most of the time, in all the callbacks, Quantum of Solace is mysteriously missing in all four. Nobody talks about Quantum. Nobody talks the bad guys of Quantum. Nobody talks about the events that happened in Quantum.
Critically, we know that Quantum of Solace wasn't exactly a success, so it might be also kind of an idea to just leave it out.
Yeah, which might work if the film trying to pull that off wouldn't be Spectre.
Exactly. But Tom, is the casino game even needed with less chiffre? If they already have enough evidence of the guy being involved with the crime syndicate and trying to pull off this money laundering mission, gathering money for himself for his criminal deeds, then shouldn't they just, put him into cuffs and get him the hell out of the casino? No need to play any games.
Yeah, but this is James Bond, It's not always down to logic.
There's an excellent parody online where you can see Emmy's explaining this elaborate plot that the chief is going to be at this casino and you need to be there and beat him. And then Bond is like, but can't we just kind of lock him up,
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be fun.
However, that being said, this is the best scene in the film.
The casino parts.
Yes, indeed.
My take on the situation was that MI6 never had real solid good evidence of Le Chiffre's complicity in the crimes and the acts. Like they had a lot of really strong beliefs, really strong theories that really were based on real facts and real knowledge of the situations, but they didn't have the smoking gun and strong enough evidence that they could just arrest Le Chiffre. And if they would just drag his ass to court, Le Chiffre would just walk away. And because of that, they kind of needed Le Chiffre to come to them and to ask for sanctum from MI6.
Then again, MI6 is really willing with the treasury to fund James Bond to still take on this guy with some real solid cash, even though they might not have all the proof.
Well, yeah, but in that case, if Bond would manage to win the game and rob Le Chiffre the victory and all the millions that Le Chiffre is going after in the poker tournament, in that case, Le Chiffre would kind of all of a sudden find his past customers, especially the previously seen warlords, coming to knock down his door, asking their money back, which Le Chiffre couldn't give, and because of that, they are counting on that. At that point, Le Chiffre sees no alternative except to actually come to MI6 himself and ask for their help.
Yeah.
MI6 is never actually planning on arresting Le Chiffre at any point. They just want to make him desperate enough that, he's willing to make any deal that MI6 throws at him. You give us, you name all your accomplices, you name all your contacts, you tell how you do your business and how the syndicate works, and in return we give you a nice safe house in some shithole small village.
I was watching this South Korean TV series where there's a traveling group of South Koreans going to France, and then this package tour gets to a casino, and the guide of the tour explains that this is the place where they shot the Casino Royale scenes for Casino Royale the film, which is absolute bullshit because this was shot in Karlovy Vary in Czech Republic, so nowhere near France. I don't know where that was coming from, but I guess it was just used as a ham-fisted added excitement effect on the TV series. But that is doubling for Montenegro Casino. Eva Green is wearing this very sexy, or as the costume designer would say, this sexy vampire look with this evening dress that everybody is drooling at the casino. We have a close-up of Eva Green, which crust dissolves into the poker table. It's quite unusual in new films, in my opinion, to crossfade into anything. Like it's not a fade to black, it's a crossfade between pictures. And I thought it gave it a little bit of kind of a classical vibe, a classical crossfade vibe that you kind of a callback to older James Bond films at the poker table. Then James Bond put some kind of a tracker in the MDI, the asthma inhaler, I believe.
I'm guessing so. He puts a listening device in somewhere.
Right, listening device makes sense. Because next we're going to pause the game and there's gonna be these black assassins in the hotel room of Le Chiffre, and the stairway fight ensues because they are able to hear the earpiece of James Bond in the corridor. And of course this gets a little bit bullshitty because there's a gun fired in the casino, nobody bats an eye, and a huge noise from this. But admittedly this is probably the best place where to have a hand-on-hand combat if you're gonna fight anywhere, some staircase that nobody's going to frequent.
Yeah, besides it's nice casino, so warlords and Russian gangsters are kind of your go-to customers.
And easy as pie, you just put these baddies into a closet and Eva Green informs team members. Problem solved. Back to poker table. But I really like how the scenes make James Bond look like all kinds of adversaries, and he's able to always come on top. In the book, you had something a bit different around these parts in the story. You had an explosion, but it was an explosion that was either outside of the casino or outside of James Bond's hotel. There was two guys. One of them was carrying a blue suitcase, and the other one was having a red suitcase. And one of them was supposed to be the bomb, and the one of them was supposed to be the suitcase to trigger the bomb. But it turned out that they were both bombs, so they would get rid of these two guys who were trying to do some damage around the area. So there would be no proof of Smersh's actions. This does not happen in the film in any way. And once again, one of the great scenes of the film when Bond is healing his wounds after the fight. Just having a little bit of something to drink, cleans himself up, puts on another suit, and comes back to the poker table.
Yeah, I also like that they kind of a small touch of how Bond takes his drink as he's healing from the fight, because he kind of just quickly pours it in the glass and just gallops it down on one go. And that kind of, to me, it showcases kind of the emotional struggle that Bond himself has to go through after just brutally killing two guys. Like there's that adrenaline still pumping in his system, which often happens when you are in a fight or life and death situation. And to me, that read as Bond using alcohol to kind of alleviate that adrenaline suddenly dropping down.
True, he's acting kind of like a machine. Just get the job done and get back to the business.
Well, I would say that in that moment, he actually acts more humane. Like Bond obviously being still kind of in the zone in that fight. Bond behaving body language-wise extremely aggressive before he can get back to the table. I would say that's kind of that's one of the humanizing touches that happened in the film and in Daniel Craig Bond's every now so often.
True. He's a human character, but able to very well keep up this macho kind of an image of himself and just concentrate on his mission, laser sharp. Back to the game, to Salon Privé, and we're introduced to the drink Vesper. I can wholeheartedly recommend, at least the version that I got tonight.
I must confess that when I heard that you were coming to the Casino Royale episode with some hang-ups concerning the differences that the film takes from the book, I was actually betting most of my chips on you making a fuss about the fact that they changed the game that Bond is playing from Baccarat to Texas Hold'em.
Not a problem for me because I don't understand card games whatsoever. So they could be playing whatever they wish as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, Because I was most definitely certain that that's gonna be a major hang up for you. And there's in film's defense, the Switch actually makes quite a lot of sense because Baccarat as a card game is one of the dullest and most stupidest card game that you can have. And
So I've heard.
yeah, like it's all luck and no skill game. And the fact that Bond, that's the casino game that Bond most prefers, kind of in the end turns out speaking not so favorably on Bond's behalf.
Vesper is in the shower. Looks like she has been met with quite a trauma of the fight with the black guys. Apparently there is some electronic morphing going on in the image. I'm not sure if it's related to blocking out the camera operators in the reflection of the door of the shower. Nevertheless, you can't see the camera operators. They are also under a black sheet to cover them up further. But this is once again a great scene with the dialogue. What was it? I think this blood is not coming off from my hands. And Bond tries to help with that. And I kind of like how he goes to the shower, just not caring about his suit. The most important thing here is to help out Vesper. It's sweet.
No, it's weird.
And there we have it.
Oh, come on, the guy has suits to spare, so why not?
Nope, weird.
Yeah, the lady's in distress. Come on.
No, it's
Right, right. I'm actually agreeing with Henrik here. What's happening tonight?
weird.
Vesper goes to sleep, and Mathis is at the balcony, and there's bodies arranged into the car. Back to the game. Apparently it's very impossible to storyboard a casino game, so this is where a lot of the editing trickery comes into play. You have to shoot apparently everything you can think of, from card, special close-ups to different facial expressions, a lot of editorial tightening going on. Bond loses. Oops. And just like in the book, he just freezes at the table and just keeps sitting there, staring into nothingness, daunted. Balcony with Vesper. Look into my eyeballs, honey. You know I can beat this guy. Give me some more money. Let go of my arm.
And regards to the money, there actually is quite a nice touch that the film makes on the implications of Bond losing in the game. Like them mentioning that basically every cent that Bond would lose would be the government officially funding terrorism.
Yeah. It sounded a bit of a desperate attempt on Bond's part. Maybe a bit of a ridiculous writing as well.
I don't know. I liked it a hell of a lot. Like to me, it kind of highlighted the fact that Bond's actions, they do have indirect consequences.
This balcony with Vesper, as far as I remember, this is not something that is in the book, and it plays a little bit differently where I think there is no conflict between them two about this at all. And Felix Leiter also plays a little bit differently in the whole thing. Yeah, just read the book. I'm not gonna give you all the details.
Wasn't Felix a white guy in Goldfinger?
Yup.
Yeah, and all the other films except this Casino Royale onwards.
Oh yeah. License to Kill, yeah.
Yeah.
But here is the homie from Langley introduced. In the book, when the Vesper drink is ordered, that's when he meets the Felix Leiter around the poker table somewhere there. Felix's ear is doing something goofy here, some kind of a Mr. Bean effect when he's talking to James Bond. So he gets the funding and it's back to the game. We're starting to see that there's different kinds of lenses used now to make every bit of this tournament to seem a little bit different. I understand now they are using wider angle lenses, and there's a really great shot where Le Chiffre is throwing the cards directly at the screen, and the image kind of looks three-dimensional or something because they're using these lenses, and it's might even be my favorite shot. Poison. So, as mentioned, in the book, Bond is threatened with a gun at the gambling table. There's just some French guy behind him. This is a pistol, so if you do anything stupid and if you don't stop this game, I will shoot you right now. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Ha! I will put my seat backwards and you will fly who knows where. And this situation stops like that, and then everybody is confused and Bond is embarrassed and says something like, yeah, I got a little bit dizzy during this high-stakes game, so I'm fine now, let's carry on.
Yeah, I must say I like the poison more.
Way more, much more. There's the scene where Bond goes in the toilet, we're having some 45-degree angle turns with the camera, it's a little bit blurry. So Bond goes to the car for the defibrillator, fuck.
Yeah, it's a complete nightmare for Finnish.
Defibrillator.
Yeah, the thing with the pads.
and tries to kickstart his heart after ingesting this poison. Doesn't finish the job. Fortunately, Vesper does the job. Once again, great lines and throwing some more masculinity. Like, you're okay? Am I okay? As soon as I've won this game, I will go to the hospital. You're not seriously going back there. I wouldn't dream of it. Just goes back to the table. I'm sorry, that last hand nearly killed me. Great stuff.
Best line. Best line.
Yeah, it got applauded in the theater. Fantastic.
It is most Bond line of the film.
Yeah. Now the shots are getting tighter and tighter, changing lenses to less wide to amp up the tension, and he wins the game after a lot of eyeballing, trying to see the bluff.
Yeah, really not trying to see the bluff that much. Like,
Than just being reckless.
not even that. With those cards, with that river and with that turn, Bond already knows that he's gonna win. Like there's Bond himself knows that he's a sure winner there. Basically, the only trick that Bond anymore has to do is to make the Chiffre go all in, and does precisely that. But yeah, poker game wise, Bond is a certified winner right after the cards have been dealt.
Followed by dinner with Vesper, a private moment in the restaurant. Once again, this film is full of great dialogue and it doesn't cease here. One could say that it's getting a little bit too philosophical, maybe too much of in-depth of character study from the both of their part during this scene, and it may seem a little bit artificial. What did you think?
I don't see that argument at all.
Okay. And Vesper excuses herself from the table because she gets a call, or is the message supposed to be coming from Mathis, and she goes outside, sees the car, and then the bad guys jump from behind the corner and get her into the car. And that's pretty much how it goes in the novel as well, followed by a car chase. In the book, of course, it's Bentley that is rolling. Where's my Bentley? Well, it's rolling. And they were using cannon to launch the Aston Martin into the air. They had quite a bit of trouble to get the Aston Martin flipping in the way that they wanted to. This was the third Aston Martin that they used in the final product to finally get it right. Like, that's quite expensive filmmaking.
Well, hey, if you have an open check.
Yeah, unless of course it was some kind of a fake Aston Martin.
Yeah, it was Audi in real life.
I thought that this car crash was a little bit over the top, but it was done for real. So it actually did those flips. So what you gonna do?
Was
with
there
a cannon?
an actual driver inside of the car when it did those flips?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because
Was the torture real too?
Don't think so. Bummer.
yeah, no commitment at all.
But yeah, the torture. Yeah, the car has done its flips, and then they get to some shady warehouse type of thing where they hold boats. In the book, it goes like this that they force James Bond to undress himself, pointing the gun at him, and he sits to the chair himself. Les Chiffre keeps calling James Bond as my dear boy, kind of trying to belittle this guy. Also serves James Bond coffee, and the rest of the coffee just going all over James Bond's face.
Mm.
Mr. White also tells in the book to Bond after the torture that James Bond is lucky as he doesn't have orders to kill James Bond, so he survives. Also in the book, Matthijs comes back and gives a check for Bond for the money. But anyway, the torture scene, yeah. It's in Barrandov Studios in Czech Republic. There were full 3-shot master close-ups that they shot separately of each actor doing their parts, and then they combined them. They took 4 or 5 takes and a complex focus pull to finish it off when Le Chiffre gets the bullet into his head. Great scene. We haven't seen anything like this really before in this entire franchise.
It's a very painful scene.
Yeah. But of course, since it's a James Bond scene, it has to make a little bit of a light touch, and it's fitting because it's James Bond. He kind of makes fun of the whole situation. And this is kind of the ultimate macho moment of Bond.
It kind of is. And it also turns once again into a more humane from Bond. Like it starts very macho when Bond is able to resist the torture and not give in to Le Chiffre. But then again, it gets rather humane when Bond finally really looks concerned after Le Chiffre makes the threat against Vesper. And there's that close-up on Bond's face on that moment.
Yeah, that is great. And he does die scratching James Bond's balls. There is a deleted scene here called Rescue and Recovery. So after all this, Bond is rushed to the ER. Bond is in hospital bed and mumbling, no, not him, not Matthijs. And he tries to grab scissors to kill Matthijs. And then it continues to the yard where Matthijs is continuing his interrogation of Bond, basically. But yeah, the clinic. In the book, Bond is taken to a nursing home at Royale. I believe Royale is supposed to be some kind of a city in the book. Here we don't exactly know where Bond is being taken to, but clearly it's some kind of a nursing home. And Bond tells to Matthijs the location where money is hidden inside Casino Royale in the book. But here he just gets zapped. James Bond already knows what is going on with this guy and he is taken into custody. Actually, in the book, as I understood it, Matthijs is not a bad guy at all. He doesn't have this bad guy's role at all in the book.
It's kind of also murky in the film whether or not Matthijs really is the bad guy or if Bond is just wrong here in his judgment and it really is just Vesper.
It continues being murky in Quantum of Solace when Matthijs is thrown into the garbage can and takes a part of the James Bond operation. And maybe I just didn't pay enough attention, but I still don't understand what is their relationship. And did he work for Quantum or did he not? Or was he forced to do something against his will? What's the deal?
Yeah, taking into account also what happens in Quantum, the final reading I had of Matthijs is that he was not really part of the crew and he was on Bond's side throughout the adventures. And that would also tie in with Casino Royale. Like in here, in the end, Bond would be wrong, mistrusting Matthijs.
But there is this line from Le Chiffre. There is no really reason for Le Chiffre to say something that is not accurate. He says that I'm afraid that your friend Matthijs is actually my friend Matthijs.
And to me, the way how I read that, I was also thinking about that line when now visiting the film. But my take was that Le Chiffre was at that time, he was lying to Bond and gaslighting him in order to still kind of hide the fact that the real mole in operation was Vesper. Just so that he can use the threat of violence against Vesper to influence Bond. Just in case that Bond doesn't break under torture.
Wow, this is very thought out.
It's kind of ironic that Bond is supposed to be this great reader of people, you know. He completely fails to miss her treachery.
If what Henrik said is true, yeah, that's true.
Kinda. Especially now that they switched the game into Texas Hold'em, which, unlike Baccarat, is supposed to be all about little clues and the psyche of your opponents. Like Bond remarks in the film, in poker you never play your hand, you play the man across from you. Which kind of once again it does highlight Bond's skills as someone who can read persons, and he can't read Vesper for shit.
I felt at times that in the book it was a bit too clear what was bothering Vesper Lind, and it took fucking ages before James Bond figured out what that is. That they were kind of torturing Vesper or using Vesper to get to the money. In the book also, the last third of the film, the third part of the film, it's kind of intimate, and there are these close scenes with Vesper and Bond, and they get to know each other properly and fall in love at the clinic. Here, of course, it's a film, it happens a little bit faster. Now we get to lying on the beach. This is supposed to be the Aegon Sea. It's shot in the Bahamas, and they discuss how they're going to spend the rest of their lives and sail to Venice somehow.
And then he clocks on, and then he realizes with M's help something's not right.
Yeah, kind of on the last minute.
Yeah.
Imagine if M's phone call came 15 minutes before.
Yeah.
You know, when Bond was still with Vesper.
Yeah.
Or 15 minutes later, for that matter.
Yeah.
Meticulous timing. Yeah. So that's where the kind of romantic moments end. Kissing in the hotel is in Barrandov Studio, and the lobby in the hotel is in National Museum of Prague. There was also one dropped scene where James Bond and Vesper Lind notice the one-eyed guy in the lobby. And then Bond goes to ask about this guy, like, who is this guy from the concierge? And he finds only out that this is some guy who is interested in a clock repair seminar in the hotel. And that's also the case in the book, that he is some kind of a expert in repairing clocks. Yeah, so Bond got the phone call now. Vesper has left the hotel. The treasury guy in M's room is Phil Mayhew from the crew of the film. So Vesper is now dressed into this red dress. It's supposed to be some kind of a homage to Don't Look Now film, where there's also a lady in a red dress. Henrik, anything about that?
Yeah, it is homage. I can see why they did it, or more closely, I really don't, except that both films take place in Venice. I think I always thought that homage is kind of a non-needed. Like that the film doesn't have Casino Royale doesn't really have anything to do with Don't Look Now, except the Venice, which Casino uses in the final moments, like the last 20 minutes.
They thought that if they're going to send the pair into some romantic place, it would have to be Venice. Well, yeah, the James Bond franchise has been in Venice so many times that it's not even funny. So here we are again, and also the red dress could be seen as something to give contrast to the rest of the people, because nobody else is wearing such of a striking red dress, so it's easy to follow Vesper Lind around.
Yeah, it does make narrative sense to Bond be able to spot Vesper in a crowd with that red dress. Like if she would have dressed something like black trousers and a black jacket or anything beige,
yeah,
that would have been, but it would have been impossible for Bond to actually spot her.
She's walking there sometimes amongst real crowds who were not aware that they were being filmed. There's a great Bond silhouette when he's about to enter this little square where the showdown starts to happen with the one-eyed guy. And then we get to the goddamn collapsing building. God, I really hate this scene. I can't stand this scene.
It's kind of cool, in my opinion, to see the building collapse in middle of Venice. It's also quite funny these days to see building collapse into ocean in Venice, because Venice doesn't have any water anymore.
I saw Martin Campbell comment something on this scene. It felt a little bit like he was just doing damage control. He said, quote, "This scene, it was an inspired idea because I had grave doubts about it to start with. I mean, okay, so house sinks, so what? You know, what does that mean? I didn't, I felt it wasn't spectacular, but as it turned out, it's probably the best sequence in the movie. And I totally disagree, it's the worst scene in the movie.
I don't think it's the worst. I don't even think that it's that bad of a sequence. I do kind of admit that it might contrast itself a bit oddly against all the previous moments in the film, which have been rather grounded and kind of really low key. Like, for Christ's sake, most of the film takes place in a goddamn casino, around a goddamn poker table. And now we have a collapsing building. I do admit that there is a tiny change in scale that happens kind of all of a sudden.
And there is something to be said maybe about the whole length of the film, or just, you know, it always comes to pacing, not the length, like minute-wise, but the pacing. Well, you have this casino stuff, you have this torture stuff. Now you switch gears completely and you go to Venice. And at this part, I always start to I get a little bit sleepy at this point. Like, I'm kind of starting to look for the ending of this film.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that this whole Venice stuff would move a little bit faster, especially because it's going to this the exploding building, in which I really didn't care for. They also didn't have any storyboard to film it because apparently Martin Campbell never had time to get to it or something. For that, I have to applaud. I really can't tell it. I guess it's shot fine, but this is kind of the moment where I start to doze off a bit. I mean,
I guess, or I would hazard to guess that the biggest problem with the Venice sequence is that it's all of a sudden it's so extravagant. Like they are in casino, they are indoors, they are around a poker table, and all of a sudden they are in the middle of the ocean, going to Venice and in a boat, and it's sunshine, it's outdoors, it's very nice. And oh my god, the building is collapsing. It's kind of a there's a huge tone change. Also in the color scheme of the film, like all of the previous film, including the airport sequence, has been quite dark. It's been colored with dark lighting and dark colors, and all of a sudden it's really bright Venice sequence. And that change in tone kind of telegraphs to the audience that this here now is the final sequence. After this moment, after they leave Venice, it's gonna be end credits. And that might be the reason why people might find the Venice sequence going on too long, and why they might snooze off, and why they may get the feeling that the film should already end, because the film itself kinda is telling you that we are closing off right now. Any minute now, we are gonna end the film.
Yeah, I just felt that I didn't need all this extravaganza and noise at this point anymore. I mean, we had been at the noisy scenes, and I think that was one kind of a high point when we got to the car chase and the torture. So we've kind of already been there, so now this is happening again.
Yeah, that, and also the fact that Bond kind of cooks up it once again in Venice. Like back in at the casino, Bond managed to keep it quite the low key, managed to keep a low profile for most of it. The biggest kind of a crime that Bond was about to do at the casino, against being a professional secret, and I emphasize secret agent, was the fact that he was about to go and just stab Le Chiffre with stolen knife all of a sudden after he loses the game. And it's that moment when Leiter comes up and stops Bond, and Bond manages to once again regain his cool and stay professional. In Venice, however, Bond all of a sudden is sinking down buildings.
Yeah.
Like, I'm betting my ass that MI6 once again got unwarrantedly noted of being in Venice after Bond managed to sink a goddamn building.
And might I add once again the tanker scene at the airport. It's a little bit more higher level action than some kind of a casino sequence or fight at the corridor. So these kind of stick out a bit from all of the rest of the narrative.
They do, and like partly that does tie in with Bond's motive or Bond's nature of being impulsive and not really always think his actions through, especially when his ego is in question. And that's kind of that's the whole embassy sequence in the beginning of the film, where Bond causes a political catastrophe because he just can't fucking get over the fact that he might lose the chase, might lose to another person. And Bond gets reprimanded for that, for not being professional, and then you gotta just see Bond doing this exact same shit in the airport and in Venice, where it's the exact same scenario happening again.
Come to think of it, in the novel, Bond gets to this Royale caretaker house, and then at some point Vesper and Bond leave that place when Bond is adequately in shape again, and they go to some kind of a hotel or resort, but it's not far from for example Casino Royale or this caretaking facility. So maybe it could have benefited the film if they had just stuck around somewhere near the casino, so you wouldn't have this extreme change of locations all of a sudden.
It might have actually benefited the film.
Yeah.
Like I do like the Venice sequence, and I do like the Venice action, as hokey as it is. But I also must confess, when the Venice sequence starts, I too do think that maybe you should have stayed at the casino, or at least in the same goddamn country.
Yeah. Why did they shoot this guy with one eye into the blind eye? Is it PG-13 reasons or what? I just always paid attention to this.
It's supposed to be funny because the dude has obviously like one bad eye, and Bond shoots him in the bad eye.
Wouldn't it be more funny if he lost kind of all of his vision when he gets shot?
Oh yeah, that'd be hilarious. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would be laughing also. But then again, I'm an asshole.
Me too. Just keep that in mind, listener.
And me.
So this was about 3 weeks of shooting. It was done somewhere at Pinewood. And then when there is this house that actually goes down to the waters, that is a third scale miniature around Pinewood. And they shot separately the element where the water is bubbling underneath the building. And it all comes together and it looks like it's actually in Venice with all the correct lighting and stuff. That's cool. Still don't care for this sequence. Funny comments from cast and crew. Eva Green said, to quote, "It's quite relaxing, actually, to drown." Daniel Craig added, "And you can't, of course, see a bloody thing," end quote, when he was underwater. "The bitch is dead." There's the phone call with M. It's quite sad. James Bond is hardened again. His soul, his heart is hardened, and his love of his life is gone. In the novel, for example, he goes into the lengths of considering he would have married Vesper Lynd, but he doesn't quite have time for that because the relationship starts to fall apart at the clinic when James Bond starts to get the idea of that there's something wrong. The last scene in the film, of course, is happening at Lake Como, and as said by the cast and crew, this is kind of a location that is all about the location. Bond finds Mr. White, goes up the steps when he has shot him. So he kind of elevates himself way above the bad guy, kind of indicating in a beautiful way that he is now above you all. He has won, because his name is Bond, James Bond. Roll credits.
He also being a major class asshole because he has just crippled a dude and now he's walking on top of him like I'm standing here high and you're there on low.
Asshole versus asshole. That's the film!
Yeah, on to the quickies.
Yeah. Favorite performance?
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig would be my pick here. Though Eva Green is great as well.
To me, all the main three actors of the film, Bond, Lind, and Le Chiffre, all are excellent. Really terrific performances from everybody. To Matt Mikkelsen, this was basically. I'm guessing this is the film that actually finally really started his Hollywood career, and
Yeah.
I can see why. Eva Green, on the other hand, unfortunately wasn't as lucky. Managed to has one of those weird career paths where one day you are working with someone like Tim Burton and doing a major million budget Hollywood blockbusters, and then all of a sudden you are doing a TV series. But hey, what are you gonna do? But my pick would be Miss Green.
Yeah, good choice. She has had a lot of high-profile films after this, make no mistake, but may have been kind of all over the place, as you said.
Yeah, it appears to be some kind of a running theme with French actresses.
But I don't know, Eva Green, I can't see her as some kind of a Marvel superhero level type of actress, more of a like actress who probably wants to choose very carefully, even or especially after the Casino Royale fame, the films that she really wants to do. They may be a little bit under the surface type of films.
Yeah. Like she does kind of come off as an actress who just wants to only do the films that she herself is interested of, and not really think about how that might affect her career. But while I do kind of admire that attitude, at the same time it does lead into some pretty weird career choices, like that sequel to the film 300, which absolutely fucking no one saw.
Yeah, I've never seen that film. Never.
Yep. Neither has anyone else.
Favorite scene?
For me, as I've said, this would be the poker scene.
I suppose I could go with the introduction of Vesper Lind in the train.
I'm picking the opening parkour.
Oh yeah, good one.
No, I'm picking the airport action scene. No, just kidding. Favorite shot?
Excuse me, I'm taking the Venice answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the building collapse was really the best scene in the franchise.
Favorite shot?
It's that building sinking in Venice. It's one of the best shots of the franchise.
First shot on the very first scene
shot.
with the traitor.
Okay. For me, it would be at 00.56.03 when this is the scene where M is giving the instructions for Bond and he's getting the implant for tracking purposes. There's a shot when they start moving off to the direction of the beach after having their discussion under the there's a kind of a ceiling above them, and then they start approaching the beach. So there's Daniel's ass and gun between the belt on his back, and his shirt is kind of hanging from the left side, walking sexily. So I'll just go with that. Because we have to have something controversial here, so there you go. No, but I really enjoy that shot. What? No liking for Daniel's ass? Okay.
It's okay.
Sounds gay.
Oh, what a surprise. Favorite quote?
That last hand nearly killed me.
Mm-hmm.
Mine would be the M's statement from the end of the film. Sometimes we are so focused on our enemies, we forget to watch our friends.
Yeah.
Well, since I seem to have written it even twice here, I'm just gonna go with that. I don't know why I did it twice, but... Stop touching your ear. Come on, it's a great performance.
That's a pick for the best quote.
Yeah?
Those are words that a character says in the...
Excellent delivery. So good that it was pointed on in Skyfall again. Favorite kill?
Well, I'm gonna name the opening piss drinker in the bathroom at the beginning of the film.
That is the best kill. So yeah, Tom?
The best kill. Yeah. I was waiting for a response. I really like the very first scene where Bond drowns the guy in the sink.
So it's 3 for that.
Or where the Ugandan dude gets strangled in the casino.
True. Emotional kills. Guys, have you ever been to a casino?
Henrik.
Yep.
You live in Uvascula, don't you?
In Rovaniemi.
Okay, but you have been to Uvascula.
Yep.
In Uvascula shopping centre, okay, with a roulette table on the bottom floor.
Yeah, that should... I'm guessing it's still there.
I've been there. It's not a casino, but, you know.
There's also a casino somewhere near the sea in Helsinki. Never been. Not really into this whole thing. But I was thinking of going to casino today to drink my Vesper there, but then I decided, what the hell. I don't have time for this shit, so I just went near the shopping center and found a pretty regular bar.
Yeah, maybe after we finally get our Patreon started and we make a fortune, fucking fortune in Patreon money, then we can go to Katajannokka Casino.
What pulled you in? Or what pulled you out? Whichever comes first. What pulled you out?
Yeah, what pulled me out is the action scenes, which went on far, far too long.
I agree.
And Venice, it just started to drag. It just lost me.
I agree. The Venice starts to lose me.
Well,
the problem...
I don't agree. The Venice doesn't lose me.
The Venice falling building loses me for sure.
I'm on with the building. Like, to me, there is actually nothing that really takes me out of the film.
I kept actually wondering how it's possible that Vesper can possibly know that the elevator is going to behave that way that it does in the film, and she gets to drown. It's a really violent motion that the elevator is doing. It doesn't seem like a regular motion. Well, of course, the building is in pieces, but it seems like whatever movie. What pulled you in?
Daniel Craig's performance and Vesper.
I'm gonna be highbrow as shit and state that the strong sense of style and identity.
Ooh. Definitely the identity. They are not now trying, they have a proper story arc. It seems finally like a focused James Bond film, which it very much is. Dialogue, performances from the 3 big ones. I really dig some of the camera work as well. The DP. Nice costume design, by the way, as well. And what would you chip-chop in the film? Scissors of Sacrilege.
Kind of nothing on my end. I do have my kind of hang-ups with the film and some sequences where I kind of seeing that could have been done better, but I somehow just can't bring myself to hate those scenes and sequences enough for me to actually start to advocate for changing them.
Speed up Venice and don't explode any buildings.
For me, I would snip the duration of the film by about 25 minutes to half an hour.
Wow.
That would pretty much be the airport sequence and the Venice sequence.
Yeah.
Like if you would remove those, then you would get that time limit.
Yeah, I have my problems with those 2 particular scenes, building an airport.
I can see why they trouble you guys. Myself, I don't share your sensitivities when it comes to those sequences, but I can very well see your arguments.
I mean, the scenes themselves, I think, are okay, but just tonally they are off.
Yeah.
You really know you're watching Casino Royale, rated PG-13.
When somebody dies itching your balls.
When you yourself go all in with super high stakes, because that goddamn certain is a Casino Royale and a Bond move.
When you can't get your eyes off the perfectly formed ass.
Of who?
I'm kind of sensing that once we are doing the roundup of the Bond run in the podcast, Karri Already, I'm putting my bet in the place that Karri is going to ask for the best asses of Bond.
Can we do like a James Bond special, like award show, like the best ass award?
Most male ass in Bond film goes to
Daniel Craig. I'd like to thank my mum, my dad.
Especially my mom. Oh, my mother and father must be proud of me.
Okay.
Mum, I made it.
3 adjectives to describe Casino Royale.
It's very edgy. Edgy. Edgy, and edgy.
That's a hell of a lot of edge.
Edgelord.
Well, it's smart, it's original, and gritty.
To me, it was revitalizing, because this most definitely was. It's innovative and it's classy.
I feel like Henrik is the only one who is putting effort into these adjectives.
I'm guessing I am, because for heaven's sake, Karri, I actually had, like, before we started to record, I made the notion that I was trying to transfer a text file from one computer to another. Yeah. And to finally let you know what that text file was, it was actually my written notes on how to play Baccarat, which I had composed just in case that you would have actually named that you have a huge problem with the film because they changed the game from Baccarat to Texas Hold'em. So I composed the notes on exactly how a game of Baccarat would play out, just so that I can show you that game of Baccarat is the most dullest and most boring and most uninnovative game that you can just have in your casino.
Somehow I feel like I want to hear this. I feel like Baccarat is the greatest game in the world. Go.
Well, fuck you for first and foremost for making that notion, because Baccarat most definitely is one of the lamest card games you can have. Like, the basic rules of Baccarat for our listeners who have no experience in playing Baccarat, I present to you in this casino game podcast. But essentially, the game starts with players making their bets. They bet on the winner, the player, the banker, or it being a tie. And that's the only fucking choice you make in a game of Baccarat. After that, 2 cards are dealt, one for the player and one set for the banker. The goal of the game in Baccarat is to get as close to 9 as possible by totaling the value of your cards. You can have max 3 cards in your stack on the table, and whether that third card ever even can be drawn either by the player or the banker or the both, that's a decision that actually is dictated by the rules. Like, unlike in blackjack, where you can say where you make the choice, you say, I take a card. In Baccarat, that's based on the rules. You can't take a card unless the rules permit it. In your average game, all the tens and the face cards are counted as zeros. So, for example, a combination of cards king and 5 would count as 5, and 10-10 would count as 0, and ace queen is 1.
It's boring even to listen to.
And that's precisely my point. And I'm not even halfway through these notes. Like, Jesus Christ, these rules go on forever. And actually, the end result is that the player himself makes no decisions in the game whatsoever. Like, none, after choosing who he places his bet on. And the entire game, because of this, the entire game is just 100% luck based. Like, there is no skill. When I said there is no skill in Baccarat, there most definitely is no skill. And Bond being so masterful in Baccarat, therefore, is not a testament of his smarts or his bluffing abilities, his ability to read his opponent, or even his gambling skills. It just shows you that Bond wins simply because of the fact that he has four-leafed clover fornicating horseshoe shoved up his ass.
But Henrik, did you pay attention to this, that they're playing in the book Baccarat Chemin de Fer version? And I have no idea how that differs from normal version.
I would hazard to guess that that's either the large table baccarat, which is what you most often see in Bond movies, which actually has no effect really on the game. It just means how many players can enter the game. And maybe the whatever is played in Casino Royale is the small table version of baccarat, which would kind of limit the maximum participants of the game into a lower number.
Here it says Chemin de Fer. This derives from the Italian game Baccarat, differing from it in that players bet one at a time against each other instead of against the house. As a casino game in the United States, Chemin de Fer was displaced by Baccarat in the late 1950s.
So it's still the same goddamn boring game that of which introductions Tom couldn't even listen through.
Up to 12 players played on a kidney-shaped table.
Yeah. Good riddance for Baccarat.
All right. Yeah, my problem is that somehow, even though I spent most of Saturday for this goddamn movie and the book and everything around it, I still wasn't done with all of my notes. So I was busy testing the Vesper drink in the bar.
Yeah, so I'm making notes here like crazy and studying card games and God knows what. And you are coughing down booze.
But see,
you goddamn asshole.
See, we get all these juicy details from different viewpoints because you're reading about Baccarat and I'm sipping alcohol in the bar, so you know, works great. Yeah. So, did you look at your watch during the film?
Yes.
Nope.
Yes, and more than
No, I didn't. No, I wouldn't go so far, but I have been watching my watch before during this goddamn building scene. But Tom Frankland, would you recommend Casino Royale?
Yes, I would, yeah.
And Henrik?
Most definitely, yeah.
Whoa.
This is a saving grace for the entire fucking franchise. And it's a film that somehow manages to make bunch of assholes sitting around a table playing cards somehow interesting.
Yeah, I would recommend it as well. I was listening to the intonation of Henrik there when he said, would he recommend it? I mean, I think we should get like a compilation of things. I mean, in License to Kill it was something like, most fucking definitely. And GoldenEye, something similar. It had the fuck in there. This one was missing it. Now, Henrik.
Yeah. I have to inject fucking in all my recommendations because that's something that I'm not getting in real life. And loneliness is slowly killing.
I think we are, Henrik, getting off topic. I'm sorry for your heartache and all. But like, so Timothy Dalton or Daniel Craig? Is it too early to say?
I would say it's too early still.
Let's keep in mind we won't know that until the No Time to Die comes out.
Yeah. Precisely, because when it comes to Daniel Craig and evaluating Daniel Craig as a Bond, Spectre does still affect on the notion, and most likely also No Time to Die will also affect. It might still save Daniel Craig somehow or completely like cement his doom.
I just watched Spectre the other day to give a refresher. Yeah, I really didn't feel like doing it, but then I started to watch the film and, well, it wasn't all that bad. And maybe we have had some misunderstandings about the film, but it remains that this film is kind of severely flawed. It's just dull. It's just very dull, man.
Yeah, hard to say for certain. I haven't revisited Spectre after seeing it in the theaters the first time.
I can't blame you.
Yeah, I hated it back then for reasons saved for the next episode in the Bond run, but sure, certain. There is a possibility that Spectre will somehow salvage at least part of itself on a second viewing. I'm not holding my breath.
All right, I guess that wraps it up for Casino Royale. Definitely one of my favorite Bond films, no doubt.
Same here.
Yeah.
Definitely in top 10, I would say. Maybe even in
Yeah.
top 5.
It's not as good as Moonraker.
Nah, you heretic.
It's been quite a run. We started this Bond run in, what was it, July, August? And now look where we are. It's been
we
going
are
great.
fatigue already.
Are we?
I most definitely am. I'm slowly reaching the point where I'm kind of waiting when we are finally done with Bond films.
I was a bit surprised, I have to say, when you said that, okay, we're not going to look only one film from each actor or something like that. We're going to look at 2 films from each actor. So it's been hugely enjoyable as a James Bond fan, so to speak.
Yeah, I just felt that it wouldn't be fair to Bond actors to simply look at one film, like either look at their shining success or then the miserable failure of their careers.
Yeah. What's next, Henrik? It seems like we're going to look at The Birth of a Nation next. What do you think? Are we ready for?
Not gonna be problematic at all.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So this is a silent epic film from the very early times. You know what, Henrik? I've been thinking that we should also watch Napoleon here. I've been thinking of ordering the Blu-ray for me. So since we're going to look at The Birth of a Nation as well. Okay, it's an old French film which had a lot of innovative filming techniques, like the widest screen format ever, and it lasts like 5 hours. So
Yeah, that most definitely sounds like a project for this podcast. Do you wanna join us in Napoleon, Tom?
When's that?
I don't know. Whenever we have time to watch 5 hours of film
Holy shit.
and then talk about it for 15.
Holy fuck.
It's gonna be like it was that 50th celebration episode, which we started the recording one day and then finished the recording on the 4th day.
Google's saying the film was made in 1927.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yep.
That's the one?
Yep.
Yep. It's a French silent film.
And it's
Here's
silent,
the
okay.
link.
Yep.
Well, Karri, how are you going to ask the favourite line question?
Well, you know, it has cards on screen, you know.
Well, that actually is gonna be a problem also with the Birth of the Nation.
Favorite card.
Favorite card. Favorite unspoken line.
35 minutes and 15 seconds was pretty good.
It has had many different versions of different lengths, and Blu-ray seems to be 333 minutes in length.
Oh my god.
Sorry, how long, sorry?
333 minutes.
Okay, so... Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, well, welcome to the not Bond episodes of this podcast.
Jeez.
You can still just say that you are busy.
I'm busy. Yeah, okay, how's this? Just invite me on the other end of the podcast to speak for 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if we can go on here for 14 hours talking about the film without some help.
Our listeners sure as shit can't.
But yeah, Birth of the Nation next week. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.
Until then.
Bye.
The methods that Bond has had to use to get into M's apartment, none of them are actually shown to. And
Henrik.
not even that
Yeah.
closely the information that Bond is digging from M's computer. So there's
Henrik, you're really muffled right
there's a
now.
hell of a lot of stuff that kind of happens and exists there, and you are not actually shown what the hell is going on.
I think your rodent dropped or something. It sounds like you're very muffled now, Henrik.
Is he dead?
No.
Oh,
Okay, now it's better.
no time to die, Henrik. You're doing a podcast.
My god damn it, you.
Too tired to live.
Well, maybe, hopefully that fixed that one.
Too preoccupied to decompose.
So at what point
Having
did
too
I
much fun to be better.
cut off?
Sorry.
Yeah, that last line nearly killed me.
Last hand.
Yeah. No Time to Die would be for 5th of April, if it's out for everybody at that point.
It's rumoured that James Bond will die in this film.
I thought he had no time to die.